One Tree Hill fans, thanks for being here. Hit that like and subscribe button if you would. Either way, I'm glad you're here. So we're talking about season 3, episode 19, and I'm just going to say I think this is one of the more ridiculously long names because I slept with someone from Fall Out Boy and all I got was this stupid song written. I mean, what is that? Like, it's so ridiculously long. And by the way, Peyton didn't really sleep with him. So, yeah. Let's get into it. Brothers at it again, being brothers, Nathan and Lucas. And Lucas is looking at Keith's old basketball uniform, and they're wearing their black uniforms in honor of Keith. And he's like, I've got your back out there tonight. Oh snap, I forgot that Lucas was like, nope, I can't play tonight, sorry. And then Nathan actually said, we're in this together, not playing either, so they have to forfeit. Wow. Oh, that's so cool to see Nathan kind of pulling a Lucas and giving the inspiring speech. Like, these guys would walk through fire for you, but you're really going to make them do it? This is Whitey's last year. I'm going to do everything I can to help you through this, but we can't forfeit the season. So now we see that Brooke found pictures of a younger and much fuller figured Rachel and plastered up large pictures around the school. Forgot she did that. It's really not classy. Okay, so I totally understand Brooke's anger because Rachel really did do a lot of stuff to her, you know? I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but I do understand the kind of teenage mentality to want revenge. But on the flip of it, I do see that Mouth had a good point when he's like, Brooke, didn't you learn anything from what happened with Jimmy? A beautiful, Naylee, smexy moment interrupted by Uncle Cooper breaking into their apartment in the dark. Oh my god, the whole scene with Peyton's dad was fire. I mean, out of all the times that he has not been in there and she's been living in that house by herself, he's there this time and he's like, because Pete calls it 1 a.m, he's outside in a limo. Still, the Pete of it all is weird. And then she's trying to rush out the door, but her dad's there no, we need to go over the ground rules. Well, now he's Pete from Get Out of Town Boy. And then he's just like, I don't care how many records he sold. It just matters how he treats you. And Brooke, by the way, grab some bed. We're going over the house rules. Oh my god. And then he's like, oh, and Brooke, find a new hot dad fantasy. He opens the door with points to his name. Loved all of that. Oh my god, I love the clap back from Haley to Uncle Cooper, because Uncle Cooper's like, oh, I wanted to meet the girl who made my nephew crash a perfectly good race car, and she's like, I wanted to meet the uncle who let him crash a perfectly good race car. Okay, sidebar, but Uncle Cooper kind of looks like he could be Dan's brother. Facial features and stuff instead of Deb's. And here's Deb! Deb's back! And she walks up to Karen's cafe and it's closed and has all those newspapers in front of it. Damn, Karen is going off. But she's not entirely wrong because she's like, I mean, first off, where was Deb? Why wasn't she there for Keith's funeral? And then it's and there's really no explanation for that. And then Karen's like, the only difference between you and Jimmy Edwards is that Jimmy was successful. Oh! I mean, I get that she's mad at Deb because if you hadn't tried to kill Deb, Lucas wouldn't have gone to that building and saved him. And I could have lost him the way I lost Keith. I mean, I understand her logic, I guess, but, ooh, Karen's so angry. Mouth giving the realness to Rachel about, are you happy? After her, yeah, I had my stomach stapled and I starved myself and rewarded myself with a nose job and boobs and a few other things. So what? I'm happy. I have self-esteem now. If you could snap your fingers and look like Lucas, would you? He goes, if I could snap my fingers and get something, it wouldn't be about my looks. I kind of get that. Cooper tells Lucas it's not about what you do in life, it's about who you are in life. Oh, I forgot. Nayli has to take a premarital class at the church that they want to get married at. Oh, God. Pete's freaking band manager is all like, hey, Peyton, yeah, Pete wants to leave you a plane ticket to go to Chicago this weekend. Bye. Oh my God, I forgot. Like, here comes Whitey to talk to Karen. And she's like, you had your wife for years. I had Keith for a few weeks. And he says, whose fault was that? And she slaps him. Like, no, but Whitey's right. And that's why she slapped him, because he had a nerve, because she knows he was right. And that's why Whitey's an MVP, because the woman slaps him and he still gives her words of wisdom in a loving way. Whitey's the best. Mouth and Rachel's talk. Mouth saying, you know, I really could have loved the girl in that picture. And she's like, I wish she could have met you. And she kisses Mouth. It's like, yes, that was sweet. Oh, and did you notice the sun-kissed advertisement in the background? Okay, once again, Whitey is the MVP on this one, because he told this amazing story about how when he was in the 50s and on the best basketball team in the state, but there was another one, the black baseball team, and they were not allowed to play together, and both teams came together one night, unbeknownst to the rest of the world, and squared off. And he's like telling Lucas this and his whole team, because he's like, this game matters. Let the game heal you. Come back to us. That was, damn, Whitey. I like that. Peyton asked, Brooke, are you awake? Honey, how could I possibly be sleeping with you thinking so loudly? Brooke actually made a pretty compelling argument for Peyton to go to see Pete in Chicago. Don't want to look back on this in 20 years and think, what if? Oh my God, the priest is, the reverend's like, I don't know how to tell you this, you failed the test. Haley's like, I've never failed a test before. And here comes Nathan with one of his amazing speeches about, can you tell me why you chose to be a reverend? I just had a belief in God. Can you prove that to us? With a test? No, of course not. Well, then you can't see how much we've worked to keep this relationship together, and how when I look at her, I know I'll be with her for the rest of my life. And he's like, congratulations, you just passed the real test. Well, Deb, you weren't kidding when you said that, you know, Karen had filled in for you a time or two. That's very true. And then she was like, oh, you know, Lucas, your mom's going to need to really lean on you, because losing, you know, the fear of losing a child is the worst thing for a mom. And I kind of was thinking she was going to tell him, you know, because she started talking about how she blamed, you know, how she was mad at Cooper when Nathan wrecked the car, and how she didn't talk to him for months. And I kind of thought she was going to be like, you know, Lucas, your mom is just hurting, you know, something like that. Like, you know, because she really got after him. I mean, I know she's angry at everyone, but it's just like, I kind of was hoping she would give that motherly advice. Like, she doesn't really mean it, you know, she really loves you, blah, blah, blah. But I guess in a kind of a roundabout way, she might have done that. But it was just kind of funny. I was like, okay, that wasn't exactly where I thought you were going with that speech, Deb. Okay, so I totally forgot this is how Lucas tells Whitey and Nathan about his HCM heart condition, and that he has to give up the game. And he's like, I know how hard this conversation is for you, Lucas. No, the next one's gonna be hard. Is he really gonna tell his mom now? Brooke, like, when are you gonna get over Java the slut? She's a good person, Brooke, says Mouth. Oh, actually, she did change her spots, because Brooke's like, a leopard doesn't change his spots. Actually, she did. I just hope her heart's the same. Okay. Damn, Peyton's dad is like making up for all the dad time he missed in this episode, I feel like. Just being there, giving her good advice, being the parents. Like, whoo. Oh, I love it. Like, Nathan's like, oh, Haley, Lucas has the HCM. She's like, oh, don't be mad. I already knew. And then she's like, he's taking his medication, right? Oh, great. So he lied to me, too. And then she's like, oh, I have a great idea. Let's not have sex until we get married again. And she's all like, do you still love me? And then he works his magic. She's like, oh, maybe we'll just start the no sex thing tomorrow night. Okay, I know that whole moment when Lucas is telling his mom about his heart condition is supposed to be like really heartfelt, but all I'm thinking is that's just like a teenager. Let me wait till the absolute worst possible time to give you more devastating news. Good job. See, I forgot that Mouth really seriously thought that, like, he had a shot with Rachel. I mean, I know she kissed him, but, like, I thought he understood, like, where she was coming from. And then he shows up at her door with flowers, and of course we see that she's messing around with Cooper. Okay, I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember Peyton going to Chicago. Oh, she went to go see Jake. Nice psych out. And Karen actually went back to the cafe, and Deb's there, and Karen's like, I need a lot of help. And Deb's like, good, you're going to get it. Oh my God, baby Jenny's all walking and walks to Peyton. Oh my gosh. All the honest and feels in that moment, baby Jenny walking to Peyton. Okay, let's talk about the podcast. Okay, so the podcast. I have to say the opening quote of the episode on the show, basically saying there's hope on the other side of loss, is a beautiful saying. And yes, for those of you who don't know, George Eliot is a woman. Fun facts. Hillary does make a good point about the grief being up and down from the last episode being kind of light versus this one being low. So, and Joy, I like the way Joy said it. Where do you put grief? What shelf indeed? And Sophia's visual outdoor description was pretty great. And it does illustrate how grief affects everyone differently. The Wilmington 10 sounds really interesting, as North Carolina itself has a lot of, is just immensely rich with history in general. Whitey's story was really beautiful, and it intertwined with, you know, just the references in general to North Carolina history, just history in general, really. And yes, it isn't just a game, as Whitey said, it's being a part of something. Sorry, being a part of something bigger is what Whitey said to Lucas. The slap to Whitey was so jarring, not only to Karen's character, which obviously Whitey was trying to do, but it was jarring to the viewer and myself. Even as a viewer, it was very jarring to watch. Karen needing help and saying it, and Deb being there without judgment is a very, very good moment. And as they said, hug your girlfriends, you know, because it is hard to ask for help. Joy falling through a hole at her house, it oddly sounds like a very like Joy thing that she's so nonchalant about it in the, you know, not wanting to ask for help. She's okay, but that sounded awful. And can I just say, the way they were explaining how they had to kind of really, their lives were very constricted when they were working, and I never really thought about it on that level to what they could or couldn't do or had to get permission for. It was kind of an interesting thing to hear them say that. Okay, so the surgeries that Rachel's went through, they were very massive, and you know, they did make them sound very trivial. And I think that's a running theme with women in general. Things that happen to women are trivialized, and that really needs to stop. And that kind of takes me into the whole next point they made about how Mouth was very much making it about him and how he felt. And unfortunately, a lot of males do that. And that's just something that's just not great. That whole almost invalidation of a woman's feelings because, oh, the guy is telling you don't feel that way, or you shouldn't feel that way because you have my approval. That shit needs to stop. I remember the teen magazines back in the day were all about a few topics. What was it? Staying thin, and what was socially beautiful, getting a guy and keeping a guy. Okay? And I look back on that now and I can see how mentally detrimental that is. And it just isn't stellar, man. Can I just say bravo to Hillary for the way she handled the girls counting the calories at her son's school. I love it. So I didn't realize that the guy that played Pete's manager on the show was the Creepazoid boss. Ew. Yes, I feel like Larry did like so much good parenting energy vibes on this episode. It was indeed chef's kiss. And I'm sorry, but seriously, him telling Brooke to find another hot dad fantasy is kind of his mic drop moment. Jake is like Larry, her dad, Hillary. That's so great. Peyton's dad. Larry, like, oh my God, never really did it. I don't think I made that connection. I didn't realize that Peyton took the ticket from Pete to go see Jake. I kind of wondered how she got the ticket, but I didn't really make that connection. And I have to agree, the Pete character did not play that correctly at all, in the sense of showing up in the middle of the night in the limo, expecting her to hop on a plane. Yeah, those were not great. Sophia was robbed between Mouth and Cooper, for real. And Rachel is totally gonna Rachel. Rachel's gonna Rachel. Mouth did come through with the reality check for Brooke, though, in all honesty. And, you know, them saying how their creepy boss was living vicariously through Mouth, like playing out that scene. Because it didn't, and it makes sense now, because it did not feel like Mouth. Like, this whole episode with Mouth scenes, they did not feel like him. I know that something was wrong every time he talked, and I thought it was just my feelings on it. But now that I know that someone was playing out their little fantasy in their head, like, okay, it makes sense now. Like, for real. Okay, and I'm just gonna say, they were referring that, you know, Rachel was just dating her now husband, and they didn't name him, but it's Jensen Ackles, for those of you who don't know. And I'm sorry, but in a contest with Jensen Ackles and damn near anybody else, you know Jensen's gonna win that. So that Creepazoid boss just had already lost before he started. I'm just glad to say I've been in the same room with Jensen Ackles. I saw him at Comic-Con a few years back, and he's just got great energy. I mean, the dude is awesome. Okay, them talking about their theme song was hilarious. They're like, but yeah, turn it off. And then Hillary leaning into it, just be like, let's just sing it out loud, have everybody join in with us. I could see her doing this. And okay, so the getting out of the date thing with Brooke, the choose your own adventure type thing, that was hilarious. I could see that. That's very much a Sophia and Brooke thing. And on my final note, I just have to say to Antoine for getting Hillary out of that situation in Paris and putting her in her first Uber. Wow, that is a milestone. But yeah, that's it for me, guys, on this episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. I'll see you next week.